Hey race fans, welcome to my little show about racing I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott, and as always, In the Pits is brought to you each week when I feel like it by Monte Carlo Express Delivery. Monte Carlo Express Delivery serving the courier needs of the Puget Sound area for over a decade. Please like us on Facebook. Okay, good thing I got finished with the show early last week because racing started early last week on Thursday. Thursday was Formula One practice at 5 o'clock in the morning here, and then that was followed by NASCAR with both Xfinity and Cup practice, along with Sprint Cup qualifying later in the afternoon. Of course, I tried to get up to watch practice there for the F1 guys in Monaco, but nope. Got up, watched a little bit, turned the recorder on, went back to bed. I just couldn't hang. And then, of course, I let tape run again for the NASCAR practice and qualifying, because it was all happening while I was at work. Got to watch it later, and of course, because nothing was happening the next day then in NASCAR or F1, I was, kind of be able to watch those recordings at a leisurely pace. Plus, Thursday was kind of a rough day at work because people leaving early for the 3-day weekend, stretching it into a 4-day weekend, made life kind of miserable out on the roads. But you don't want to hear about that. Oh, and the only thing that was happening on Friday, like I said, no NASCAR, no F1. They were partying hard in Monte Carlo for the F1 guys, but that's why they take Friday off. But there was a little bit of Indy practice early in the morning, and then after that they have what they call carburetor day, even though Indy cars haven't had carburetors in years and years and years. It's now, because it was traditionally called that, that's now the time that they use for their pit crew challenge there. Saturday was much better, with the Xfinity race at Charlotte being over early enough to get out to Evergreen and see the Mark Galloway 150. But first was F1 qualifying at Monte Carlo at 5 in the morning, our time. And I was just barely awake enough to see my favorite driver win the pole, which usually means when you win the pole there at Monaco, it usually means that you're going to win the race. So, of course, I was looking forward to a Hamilton victory there on Sunday. The Xfinity race was real interesting, with Clint Boyer in the booth there with Uncle Mikey and Double A. And on the track, we had Denny Hamlin and Casey Kane and Austin Dillon, moonlighting, you might say, from the Cup Series. I think Happy Harvick was there too, getting things done out on the track. Denny was in the number 54 Monster Energy Drink Camry that usually is driven by the Toad. And Casey Kane was in the number 5 JR Dale Jr.'s car, JR Motorsports, Armor Meets Camaro. And Austin Dillon, who is a former Xfinity champion, was in the RCR number 33 Ream Chevrolet there. So, a lot of battling between them up at the front. Those three finished in the top 3 positions. Austin Dillon and Denny Hamlin battled a lot for that win at the last restart, with Dillon prevailing. So that put Casey Kane in 3rd. The number 7 of Reagan Smith was the highest placing Xfinity driver in 4th. And he was followed by Bubba Wallace in his number 6. Bubba's one of my favorite drivers. Daniel Suarez in his Joe Gibbs Racing ride there, and the number 3 of Ty Dillon, who, along with Smith, these 4 guys will be eligible for an extra $100,000 at the next race at Dover there if they happen to win it. And in this deal that's going on, they 4 chances to do this, and each 4 top finishing Xfinity racers of each of these next 4 races are get eligible for the next race. So it's a real nice thing that they do during the early summer for Xfinity. Let's see, Chase Elliott finished 8th, and so the top 4 places in points didn't change at all, but with his 4th place finish, Reagan Smith was moved up to 5th. Smith to 5th. So after the Xfinity race, watched a little bit of practice from out at Evergreen Speedway on the Fans Choice TV. And watching that, I saw the number 9 of Kelly Mann posting the fast time. And I hope that would not be a foreshadowing of the theme for the night. One of the things that made me think that might not happen was Shane Harney setting fast time. Qualifying assuaged my fears a little bit that Kelly Mann wouldn't run off with it. And I don't want you folks to get the wrong idea. It's not that I don't like Kelly Mann. That's not it. He's a good driver. He's a clean driver. I've seen him do amazing things, and you know, he drives a Chevy, so I can't complain about that. He's just not my favorite driver, and that's through no fault of anybody's. It just sort of happened that way. And I've been seeing him win a lot lately, and I want to see my favorite drivers win. So, and they haven't gotten a chance to win yet this year, so hopefully that'll happen. We got out to Evergreen in time for the heat races, and there was a pretty good crowd out there already for the big Mark Galloway 150. The Foreign Sports Car Racing Association, their main was on the 3/8 mile track and was every bit as good as the last race that I saw of theirs on the 3/8 there at South Sound. There were a few spins that brought out the yellow, but number 10, John Grosvenor, in his orange Impala, worked his way up front, and this time had the right number of laps to win that main. So, and that's, you know, a lot different from last time when he just ran out. I saw him run out of laps there as he was chasing the number 29 of Max Schrader there, finishing second to him. The next race, Roger Drake, in his number 1 street stock race car there, led every lap in the street stock division main. Not so closely followed by the number 12 of Chad Fitzpatrick. And Drake said after the race, during the interviews, that he just felt he needed to put a good old school butt whooping on Chad and the rest of the field, just to remind them who the current champ is. So nobody had anything for Drake for that race, so I guess he was the boss there. Steve Potachik finished 3rd in his number 06. Last for the evening was the Mark Galloway 150 Super Late Model feature. But first they had a nice little short meet and greet for the drivers and the fans, which gave me time to exchange pleasantries with some of the drivers and some race fans and friends and others there before the big contest. It was fun seeing some of my favorite drivers, like old Terrible Tim, who was there even though he left his tireless Toyota there home. He was helping the Rasmussen team pit that car, and other drivers that are some of my favorites that I saw: Gary, Molly, Andy, Jessica, John, Mike, and Bud. Plus, I saw other folks there during the meet and greet, like Rich, Mike, Jana, Zach, Ralph, and Kenny. So it's always good to see folks there at the races. Anyway, the race was another good show, though it got off to a little bit of a late start. And we, over here on the west side of the state, well, we got a proper introduction to 20-year-old Spokane area native Blake Williams, who ran up front in his number 16 most of the race evening there and led many, many laps. He was able to keep Shane Harding in his fast time 29 behind him, though Harding challenged often in the first part of the race. But neither Harding nor Williams had the car to beat Kelly Mann once he got his number 9 wound up on the big 5/8, make the track bigger than it is, 5/8 mile track. I heard later that this was not his South Sound dominating Impala, but a second Chevy set up for the 5/8 mile. Well, it worked very well for Kelly Saturday night. Once he got out in front and held off Williams during a couple of the restarts that they had, nobody had anything for him. And then it helped that early in the race, there was a big wreck back of the big one in the backstretch that took out a couple of my favorites like Gary Lewis and Jessica Dana with very, very tore up cars. If you watch the video that I've posted on YouTube of the race, you can see Gary's car looks fine from one side, but when it gets around you can see the other, it was muy torn up. So, and he wasn't the only one, so a lot of torn up cars. Later, John Boyette had trouble that put him into the turn 1 wall and destroyed all of that hard work that he had put into that new number 10 car. Then, just after the 100 lap break, another big crash took out the 70 of Jeff Knight and the number 90 of Molly Hellman. You know, I can't help but wonder if all these cars are going to be able to get fixed, you know, considering the time and the money that it takes, if they're going to be able to get repaired in time for the big summer showdown at the end of next month. I mean, this isn't Sprint Cup where racers have garage mahals full of prepared race cars. No, these guys and gals usually have one late model with a few friends that help them get it to the track. And this after they've all worked 40 hours plus at some real job. Yeah, this is low budget racing, folks, but it's great grassroots racing. As one of the drivers there listed his sponsor as My Wallet. So the final laps there of the Mark Galloway 150 played out as the last couple of super late model racing events I'd seen down at South Sound, with Kelly Mann victorious. I was told later that it was his first win on the 5/8 mile track, but don't quote me on that one. So congratulations to Kelly Mann. Kelly's next race, I assume, is the super late model 100 lap feature coming up this weekend at South Sound Speedway. So my wife and I have decided to head over the mountains to watch the West Coast Street Stocks late model sportman feature there at Yakima, along with 4 other divisions on Ted Pollock's historic half mile there alongside Interstate 82 East. Why historic, you ask? My goodness, Evel Knievel jumped there in May of 1971. The old Winston West, which is now the K&N series, the old Winston West, they used to race there. And the NASCAR Northwest Elite Series, they ran there until their demise, about a decade or so ago. I've seen some great racing at Yakima Speedway over the years while I've been living up here in the Northwest. I just haven't seen any this year. So we're going to take us a little road trip. It'll be good to go over and see racing friends like Mike and Marilyn Easley and Gail Sandberg and the series that they officiate. Hopefully to run into a couple other Facebook friends of mine, maybe see Thomas Benscooter, who knows. But, you know, it's a nice series to follow. Once, my wife and I went all the way to Hermiston, Oregon, in order to see a West Coast street stock race, because it's just that good of a series. It's big time stock car racing, folks. Well, get back to Saturday. This past Saturday, Mark Galloway 150 got started a little late, so it ended accordingly. Then we got home a little late because I had to go in the pits after the race, and boy, I was glad I did. I got some of the stories of how some of the races went wrong there, and while the winner and the kid from Spokane that finished second and the defending track champion who was third got weighed and got their cars weighed and scrutinized, I got to make my rounds while other people were putting their cars on haulers. And I made a point while I was back there to introduce myself to a driver that's not new to racing but new to late models. His name is Greg Scott. No relation to StockCar Scott, but he was very gracious with his time, and now he has a new fan. It sounded like Greg really enjoyed his night with his newly acquired number 08 late model. That's his second race on it, and I saw the first race he raced down at South Sound several weeks ago. So, you got a new fan there, Greg Scott. Also, I ran into Kelly Herndon, a big fan of this show, big fan of In the Pits. And so, big shout out goes to Kelly. Thank you very much for watching. Also, shout out goes to another regular viewer, Mike Holden, on that impressive third place finish. I also got to spend a little time while I was in the pits after the race with a very, very informative talk with young Tyler Tanner, who is now a Camping World Truck Series driver, and I thank him very much for his time there. He's following his dream in St. Louis there, living in a hotel and eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches while he heads to the shop every day of the truck team that he is driving for. The MB Motorsports number 63 Silverado is his truck for now, and he was just taking a break from doing that, visiting a little bit at home, and just filled me in on a lot of interesting aspects of becoming a truck series driver. So it was a really fun night. Oh, also mention again that Tyler's next truck race is Friday. Like I said, it's on early in or middle of the afternoon. I think it's 3 o'clock. So be sure to set your recorders accordingly, so you can catch Tyler Tanner. Hopefully he'll do as well as or even better than he's been doing. So anyway, so it was a fun night there racing, but things did go on a little late, and like I went on a little long, and which meant, of course, got home late, didn't get a whole bunch of sleep before it was time to get up and watch the Grand Prix of Monaco racing through the streets of Monte Carlo. And, you know, I was looking forward to great things with Lewis Hamilton starting his Mercedes Silver Arrow on the pole and leading a whole bunch of the race. I mean, and this after reportedly just inking a fresh contract with Mercedes for a reported $150 million. I mean, you know, I figured with that and the pole position, it'd just be a cool Sunday drive through the streets of Monte Carlo to another win for the defending F1 champion. But about, 2/3, 3/4 way into the race. It was getting towards the end, but a late safety car period brought out by 17-year-old Max Verstappen's crash with Romain Grosjean changed everything. And for some unfathomable reason, Mercedes brought Lewis in for tires. But this was not to be cold trickle at Darlington in Days of Thunder. No, Lewis was never able to come back even on the new soft rubber. He only had 7 or 8 laps, and he spent those unsuccessfully trying to pass Sebastian Vettel in his Ferrari for second place. So all this did was leave Hamilton's astonished teammate, Rosberg, with his 3rd straight Monte Carlo win laid right in his lap by the mechanics in Lewis's side of the Mercedes garage. Hamilton, and rightly so, was livid. I've seen some mad drivers in my time, but you could just see the anger emanating from him, all parts of him. Of the 3 drivers up there on the pole Sunday morning, Sebastian Vettel, who finished second, seemed to be the only happy one. He was having a real good time. After Monaco and the big letdown there, I took a nap and slept right through Indy, the whole 500 miles. I did see later in the highlights that former NASCAR and F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya in a Chevy-powered ugly Indy car won his second 500 and the 16th Indy 500 for his owner there, the captain, Roger Penske. There were spectacular wrecks on track and in pit row, but the best clip that I saw was Mary Holman George fanning away her daughter with her hand as the younger George tried to assist the decrepit old lady with the start your engines command. It was quite comical in a familiar way. Oh, I was up, of course, for the Coca-Cola World 600. I wasn't going to miss that. Matt Kenseth was on the pole for the race he won in his rookie year in that car right there. And this year's car was also sponsored by DeWalt. Did that way back in 2000. It was his first career win. And on the outside pole was Joker Logano driving for Captain Roger Penske in the Shell Ford, number 22, followed by a plethora of Toyotas and his Penske teammate there, Bad Brad Keselowski. I do believe was right behind Joey. Happy Harvick was the first Chevrolet, and he was 8th in the qualifying order. Dale Jr., heck, he started way back, I think it was 15th or something. But it was a long race with lots of movement back and to the front and back and all that sort of stuff, because 600 miles takes a long time. And through various pit strategies during the long evening, a couple of teams gambled to stretch fuel. That's what happens a lot during the 600-mile race. It becomes a fuel race. The 3 successful fuel strategy drivers and teams were the number 19 of cousin Carl Edwards for his first win in his new Joe Gibbs Subway Camry. My wife's favorite, number 16, Greg Biffle in Roush Ford with his best finish of the season with 2nd. And my favorite, number 88, Dale Jr., finishing 3rd, stretching his last fuel stop as long as they could. You know, I was really hoping that the 19 and the 16 would run dry, but no such luck. So now, Mr. Ed has flipped his way into the chase with Dale Jr., Happy Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Joker Logano, Bad Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, and little Denny Hamlin. They're all in the chase already. People were talking about how the Toad might still have a chance at getting in the chase. I say 11th ain't going to do it, Toad. He's going to need a string of top fives and a win or two, and I don't see that happening. But then I'm blinded by my loathing of said Toad. By the way, congratulations on your tadpole. This coming weekend, NASCAR is the only ticket on the tube, and all races are at Dover, with the trucks Friday afternoon, like I just said, with Tyler Tanner. I think it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Fox Sports 1. Xfinity on regular Fox on Saturday morning here. And then the Sprint Cup race on Fox Sports 1 on Sunday. The Xfinity race might be the only TV race I see live this weekend, because I got to work Friday, folks. Last Friday of the month for couriers is big time. I mean, we all got to be out there. And with the truck race being broadcast in the middle of the afternoon, work comes first. Sorry. The Cup race will also be recorded because my wife wants to stay over in the Palm Springs of Washington, and that sounds a lot better than driving back after watching the West Coast Street Stocks late model sportsman there at Yakima Speedway. I look forward to seeing that series. They usually put on a good show with regulars like Buck Knoll Jr., Todd Cannell, and Andy Beeman, and with newcomers like Zach Washington, who has already won twice as a rookie, and winner of last October's Mini Stock Nationals, Brittany Zamora, in a Tedrick-prepared race car. The alternative would be the 100-lap Kelly Mayne Invitational down at South Sound Speedway, and I don't see anything on the schedule for Evergreen, so like I said, my lovely wife and I are going to take this opportunity to take a little road trip, and the neighbor is already quite aware of us being out of town this weekend, so don't get any ideas if you are some bum crook internet troll there. Anyway, our cats are trained to kill. So race fans, that's racing for this week. I hope you go see a race this weekend. The weather again is supposed to be great. Take somebody along with you. Introduce a new fan to racing. You know, that's what we do. You know, that way the races can keep racing. And if you're somewhere with your friend and going to see a race, and that happens to be old Yakadega, you might just very well see me, StockCar Scott. You know, then again, you might not go to the races, and then you just don't see me again until next week. But you know, I'll probably be here in the pits. So, thank you for watching, and until next time. Thanks again for watching, folks. See ya, Yakadega.